7 o'clock. Item D, report out of closed session. Clerk Patapow.
September 26, 2016, no reportable action was taken in closed session.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to item E, process and timeline for superintendent selection. So at this time, we're talking about how soon we're gonna do this. What does our timeline look like? And I would like to turn it over to you. I hear you have something to propose for us, so I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. So we looked at a couple different timelines, and the three of us, and as well as the office staff, really liked this timeline, and it's for a couple different reasons. But we'd like to go ahead and hand that out to you. Keep one for yourself. There you go. Okay, so as far as the timeline is concerned, I know one date is correct. That's today, 9/26. Here we are. All right, so we got that down.
Perfect.
And that is correct. So the way we looked at this, there's different stages. You can see after today, we go and we start notifying and preparing for the district profile and the flyer, et cetera, but the dates that you really need to look at, and if I were you, I would take out any calendar, anything like that, or schedule that you may have, so you can look and see if any dates do not work. So the meetings, if you can see that second highlight there, meetings with constituent and stakeholder group representatives, that is on October 17th and 18th that we would come back and meet with your constituent groups.
So we do have a board meeting on October 18th.
That's correct. We are okay with that because we advise the board to not be at any of those sessions. Okay. The reason why is we want to make sure that people feel that they can freely speak without board representation there. So that worked out great. I saw that and noticed that on your schedule. And it looks like we are going to come back on the October 26th and kind of finalize the profile, and that's going to be a date that we are going to come back and tell you all the survey results. All right, so we're going to present to you that night and basically get your stamp of approval on the flyer and say, go recruit.
So this is a special meeting? This
is a special meeting, correct. Now, you have the option to go ahead and conduct that via Skype or go to meetings. I don't know if you have that capability, or if you definitely want us here.
I asked about that. They do have capability.
Okay, they do have that capability. I would tell you that it's much easier and nicer if we are here in person for that. Okay. So that way we can answer any questions for that. On the 27th, the next day, we will start printing that promotional flyer. And on, it looks like December 1st through the 3rd, we will be recruiting at the California School Board Association conference, which I believe, Skip, you will be at, and Bob, will you be there? Okay, so we will be recruiting during that time, not only there, but our 160 associates across the country will be recruiting. The deadline for all those application materials on this is January 5th. Okay, we chose to go ahead and have the deadline and not rush it after the holiday season. Okay, there's a reason for this. During the holiday season, the superintendents are not at work. They're at home with their families, and they're kind of thinking and reevaluating, you know what, maybe I am interested in that job. I got a couple days to sit around, think about it, prepare my materials. So that's the reason why we had it after the holiday season, that deadline. Okay. If you had it before the holiday season, you wouldn't have those people having those thoughts. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Then it looks like on January 19th, we will be coming back and presenting candidates to you in person, us in person, not the candidates. So that is going to be a long meeting. It will be about a 4-hour meeting.
Okay, that's another special. And this is that's one's all enclosed.
Correct. That is in closed session. So it will be a 4-hour meeting. I suggest that you have pizza or sandwiches, sub shop, whatever,
Bars,
brought
nothing.
in. Yeah.
We got that.
And so you will come out of that meeting, say, for example, we bring you 10 candidates to look at. You might have it narrowed down to maybe 5 or 6 to interview. And then you can see the next round, the week of January 23rd, will be the interviewing of first candidates. Then, as soon as that last candidate walks out, we walk right back in with another forced matrix. And so then you might be down to 3 candidates, which would be interviewed on the last week of January. And then you might have a decision made at that time. So we feel really comfortable with this. It gives us enough time to recruit, and it gives the holiday season, like I talked about. Any questions or concerns? I know it only affects that one meeting that you have during the constituent groups, but you won't be involved in that anyway.
Any thoughts on this? I know this is a little bit longer than we were hoping, but I think overall we're interested in making it the best process and making sure we get the best candidates from the process. So anyone have any thoughts on this, or any of the dates causing alarms to go off? I'll look this way too. Any alarms going off on any of these dates? No? Okay.
The dates are all fine. I have one question regarding the 17th and 18th meetings. It says meetings with constituent and stakeholder group representatives. When will the stakeholder groups be identified?
That's in our on our topics of discussion.
Okay,
our
great.
next point of discussion.
The other item, one of the other items for the board's consideration and discussion is there a specific meeting in January where you would like to officially announce? As I understand, your January schedule or your 2017 schedule is still a little bit in flex.
It is.
And so we would want to make sure that we work within your existing board calendar and try to figure out an appropriate time to make that formal announcement. A bit of a celebration, but again, the decision-making process will be done in closed session prior to that.
Yeah, our meeting right now is tentatively scheduled for the 17th of January, so it would be, based on this timeline, we'd be choosing someone in between regular board meetings.
Correct.
So are you saying that the announcement should be at a regular, or?
That's when everyone shows up.
A regular or a scheduled meeting, it does need to be a public vote. And so
I see.
you need to be able to award the contract, and the contract has to be sunshine via the
That has to be regular,
yeah.
right?
So perhaps if February is one of our 2 board meeting months, that works
Yeah,
out.
I don't have is February, well, we could just make sure that's a 2
so
board
if we
meeting
note
month.
that, we
yeah.
make sure we do
Actually, I
a
think it
meeting.
wasn't because of the February break, but yeah, so we'll just make sure February is, I guess.
And it is possible
in
to
order.
have a special open meeting
Yeah, and
just
we
for
have a
that
good
purpose.
reason to do it early in February at this point then. That's a big deal, and people will want to be here for that. So I think since we don't have our schedule firmed up, we'll make sure we can do that. If February regular meeting sounds like the place to do it.
Yeah, and it does look like you have 2 meetings in January on the 17th and the 31st on your sheet.
I suppose we could do that too. We haven't decided that either. But
I'm sorry, what were you suggesting?
January 2
Your
meetings
proposed,
instead.
I'm sorry, on your proposed sheet for board meeting dates, you are proposing, proposed as of today, January 17th and January 31st.
And that is something you'll be getting. We're going out of process a bit, so you're going to be having the opportunity to set your own board meeting schedules.
Yeah, but I was just saying that from the standpoint of when you were looking at having 2 meetings rolling.
So that makes perfect
Because the
sense then, that
February
we,
one doesn't
and
show.
I think we're seeing some consensus here that we'd either like to do 2 meetings and do it in the second meeting in January, or 2 meetings and do it in the first meeting in February. Okay, so 2
However,
meetings
the
in one of
time,
those 2 months,
yeah.
so we can get it right there at the very end of January, the very beginning of February. Okay, that sounds
On
good, and
this,
we will
yeah.
let you know when we decide on our meeting schedule.
That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Perfect.
So the next,
Can I ask a question
Yes.
about the timeline? So the profile is finalized the end of October, and that's when the position is flown. So you're envisioning a 2-month recruitment period?
yes, for this.
And is that it seems like a long time, 2
That's,
months
I mean,
for recruitment.
We've done that several. I mean, sometimes districts will want it within a month, sometimes two. I just think it's really important for you to have that holiday season for people to think about.
Without the holiday season
about the
it
yeah.
confounds the issue a bit, just in terms of people's availability. Their, the
Coming for
positive parts of it
interviews.
is that they do have the time to work on documents.
2 holiday seasons.
Yeah, two
Okay,
holidays.
so, and you had mentioned previously about these videotaped interviews. Is that still going to be part of this? And then where in this process
That
would
is
we be seeing those applications? Because you're forwarding all of them to us, correct?
No.
No.
No,
you're not.
January 19th is when we will be presenting them to you, along with all the other packets of information.
But I mean, on the 19th, how much screening have you done, and have we seen any
Everything.
of the video?
No,
Okay,
so on the
Just explain
19th,
what that looks like. I
on the
guess.
19th, we will come and present candidates to you. Every piece of paper, letters of recommendation, their application, their letter of interest, everything on their packet. Okay. Then we will go ahead and present the video that night as well.
Okay. Oh, so
Okay.
we don't see it on our own through some server. It's
No.
just all presented at once.
Correct. So what we will do is say, this is Mary Ann. This is Mary Ann's packet of information. We'll tell you a little brief synopsis of who Mary Ann is and where she's at and what she's done in her past. And then we'll say, this is Mary Ann's answers to her videos. And so you'll be able to have a sheet that you can take notes about her videos. And then after she's done, we will say, and this is Bobby Joe. And we will just move to the next one, and then to the next one until we're done with all 10. And then you will be able to fill out your forced matrix.
And can you just explain the forced matrix?
The forced matrix is basically each of you will individually fill that out. So it will say, do you like candidate A or candidate B? You have to select one. Do you like candidate A or C? And make another selection, A and D and A and E, so on and so on, until you have pitted each candidate up against each other. Do you like them both? That's wonderful if you do, but you have to choose the better one. I don't like either one. We'll choose the lesser of the evil. Okay, so, and you will be doing that individually, okay? So when you do that individually and your force matrix is complete, you will bring it up to us. We will tally up the scores, and on some board or some screen, we will put that all up and then give back the matrix, and you will be able to see how you score the matrix versus every other board member. You don't have to tell, if we give TJ number 2, nobody knows that TJ is number 2 unless TJ says he is. So at that point, when all the scoring is tallied up, we can open it up for discussion at that time.
Hey, I would ask that you don't bring us anyone evil, but I
Nope.
think, am I
Nope.
seeing consensus here then that this timeline seems good with everyone? Okay, back to what you said about the theoretical October 26th special. Somebody, you think via Skype would work, but in person is better.
Yeah, because
When do we need to tell you that, and when do we need to finalize that meeting date?
We would prefer to know a week or two in advance. I think it's,
No. that
Bob
would be
and Skip are fairly close. I would say it would probably be beneficial to have them here.
okay. Okay, so that's an open, and we need to
Technology is
then
great,
make
but
sure
sometimes
we-
it doesn't always work.
make sure we get that scheduled soon. So, okay, you've got it. Great. Okay, so then we can move on. Everybody comfortable? Okay, we're moving on.
Okay.
Oh, what day? Hold on, I didn't look at what day of the week is that? The 27th or 20?
We'll verify that. Mel's got it. I'm sure we'll hear from Amanda to make sure it works
26th.
for everyone.
Oh, it's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay.
Okay, so then the next items
is number 2. So when we do bring material to you, do you want us to bring it on a flash drive or do you want us to bring it in paper copy?
So I have talked, I think getting all of these materials to Amanda, we do have a shared drive that the board can use. So our contact person probably should be Amanda. And she can post all of these to the board shared for us. So an email or a flash drive to Amanda, I don't know what your preference is on that, but I think that will work very well.
It would pretty much be just for that one meeting on the 26th, okay? As far as the meeting when we come and present candidates to you, you're going to want to take notes all over their paperwork. So I suggest that that is paper.
Okay. So then in that case, then an email to Amanda, and she can make sure that all the board members get that.
Okay.
That sounding good, Amanda?
My thought would be flash drive, because wouldn't maybe possibly an email have too much data to it?
Yes.
You could,
Yes.
Okay, so flash drive sounds like.
Overnight a flash to you.
And then, so would you print up or just give us all flash drives and then what's,
The flash drive, it could be posted to the board shared from the flash drive.
okay.
You want to write on it, you just said, so print copies. Okay, we're going to kill some trees here, but, all right. Fourth one here then.
No, third.
I'm sorry,
So
third.
constituent meetings, who do you want us to hear and talk from? So it's my understanding, Michelle, that you have kind of started to compile a list.
Yeah, I
of-
do have a list here, and I guess then I'd like to get the board the list, and if anybody has anyone to add or anything, anyone you think we've forgotten or something you object to, we need a process there unless we want to discuss this all tonight. I think we can probably do this offline more quickly, but I'd like to quickly read through what I have here. The online survey, and we said you were able to do that in multiple languages too, perhaps. Okay. Students. We do have a superintendent student advisory council, and I think Ella may have some ideas about other ways we might reach students, possibly the survey. Will that survey, by the way, have an option to know what's your affiliation to Poway Unified? Are you a student, parent, teacher, employee? What? Okay, it will. Okay, great. The community forums, at least one in Spanish. And I don't know how many forums we're interested in holding for the community. Do we want to just do one here? Do we want to have them, a few different ones in different areas of the district? I think that's something we can discuss.
Can we find out what a prototype looks like, and at least that could be sort of our boilerplate for how we want to do things?
We can send you maybe what another district has done,
That would be
a
great.
sample. I'll write that down. So we'll send you a sample. Again, it's going to be like members of the Rotary, business community, faith-based groups, PTA, bus drivers, those kind of
Yeah,
individuals.
so I have teachers, principals and directors, possibly combining them.
Right.
Then our counselor supervisors, confidentials, this is our management group. Our classified, I've spoken with the union president there. She feels that they can be represented by one session for all of our classified employees. And then we have some district standing committees, our site councils, our special education foundation, our other our CAC, Community Advisory Committee for Special Education. We have a Career Technical Education Community Business Advisory Panel. The superintendents, I already mentioned, the Student Advisory Council. We have DAC, DLAC, our PTAs. All of those are groups that we want to include in some way.
I think it's great. That's a great start. So I can go ahead and send you a sample list, and maybe you can send your list and that sample to
And
everybody.
cross-reference everything,
And then you guys can say, maybe add this group or take this group off or combine. And then when you get that, send it to us.
I think that there could also be the opportunity for another option, none of the above. And that may be people who want to be able to come to the meeting to provide input, but don't necessarily want to have their input known by the constituent group that may manage them or represent them.
And the perfect way to do that, and I was going to suggest, is that you hold an open forum in the morning where those individuals could come, and you also hold an open forum in the evening. And so they can come and they can talk, and they don't have to say who they are.
Different times of day to
Yeah,
reach
so
different
maybe
people.
7 o'clock, so you can hit the people before they go to work, and then maybe a 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the evening.
Oh, go ahead, Mel.
I just wanted to ask a protocol question because I'm going to worry about the logistics of all this. So this is a central room to our district, so it's easy for people to come here and they don't have to all go to a school site because we'll have school in session during these particular dates. So when you're thinking about an input session, is there like an arrangement of the room that has to happen? Is an arrangement like this look like? And let me share with you why I'm concerned is that the next day is a board meeting and we have to come in and get this set up. I just don't know you're going to have access for the whole day to any of the groups that will come in. So if I could just understand that a little bit in terms of how many you serve.
So I would suggest a group of 15 for those groups, or 20. That allows us enough time to talk with at least every individual a little bit. Those open forums, that's a come y'all meeting. Anybody can come to that, and it should probably be held in like a forum or a auditorium, something like that at one of the college or high schools. Sorry,
Or here.
or here.
We can
I think
work.
you're giving our constituents a lot of credit, and they may come. This may be a very big deal, but our LCAP forms were not filled.
Correct. Sometimes, especially with the online survey, people feel like they can go ahead and fill it out after they're, watching a baseball game or something. So they feel that they've already given their opinion and they don't have to come out. So that happens a lot nowadays.
And I hear your concern on room setup and that type of thing. We can work with an existing structure like this that you have set up for a board meeting. We might ask for a couple of chart paper, easel paper things to be able to write things down on, but then all that can be removed and you can be relatively set up for your board meeting without much
Yeah, and we
work.
wouldn't need it till way later. I just didn't know what kind of a setup you needed,
Yeah.
so I could just work with our staff around that. Okay, thank you.
Or we could hold it somewhere else. I mean, I don't know, are you talking about this year's LCAPs? Because last year's, the year we had them out at the school sites, I mean, they were packed, whether it's Bernardo Heights or wherever. Those things were just hugely attended.
But if you have different,
This year
Yeah,
they were.
I just wanted
we
to
have
know what the
Did we have
format
them?
was, and we can work with school
Yeah,
sites
and
all
I
those
wanted to
things.
piggyback on that because I wanted to find out what does it look like. So you sort of heard the kitchen sink of a list of stakeholders. So what does this look like as far as, obviously you can't have 45 meetings. I mean, there's not enough hours in the day. So how do you get that input from the various groups? Is it segmented? Are they all together? And if it's segmented, how?
Skip can be doing a meeting with some group, and Bob can be doing it at the same amount of time. And I could
Like small circles?
right, small circles asking the same questions, except the board questions that we asked you individually today. So, what are the strengths of the district? What are the strengths of the community?
And they all have to be an identified stakeholder, like, okay, you're a classified employee here, you're a Rotary Club member there, and that's what the circle is. It's these
That's
identified.
correct.
Your PTA, your DLAC, your DAC.
And in the groups of like about 15 to 20 people max. And however you want to go ahead and decide who those 15 to 20 people are, you want to draw it out of a hat or whatever, that's totally up to you.
And I think that when we think about community members, rarely do they fit in a bucket. I'm in Rotary and I'm on the foundation board and I do this and I do this and I'm, and so they really need to know that giving their input 5 times does not increase the power of their input.
Correct.
Right? They need to come 1 time and give their input. And again, like you said, depending upon the level of concern among those different constituent groups, you'll see a change in attendance.
I agree that this room probably is most convenient for the public and setting up with tables whenever we work, like building a new school and get the input from the community. They know where this place is and they're familiar with it and they're more comfortable.
And you can
And
actually,
I think the size will be big enough.
and you can actually just leave it like this, and we can stand right here and take our notes at the podium right here. So
What would be better for you, tables or this setup?
But if you're doing small breakouts, you could have one. I mean, you'd have people in different parts of the room.
It depends. I was thinking if you were having your open forums here.
Yeah, you're not going to have the meeting with teachers in this room.
No,
and
no,
the
no.
15
I was talking
teachers
about
in this
open
room.
forums.
Right.
Yeah.
Really quickly, what is about the time that you'll work with the groups? About an hour, 30 minutes? What are you
I would
looking
say
at?
I would say 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, so if we're just, once the board gives us direction on groups, then we can go ahead and schedule them and announce them that way and give you a little bit of time in between. Okay.
Get the invitations out.
Yep. And however you want to do that, I would go ahead and if you have robocalls, you can do it that way. You can get it on the website. If you work well with a local newspaper or TV or radio, however you want to get that out. We've even had districts send flyers home with children, so totally up to you. But I will say this: when we're closing 6 schools or 12 schools within 6 months, that's when people come to these things. So when things are running relatively smooth, people think that they can go ahead and do that online survey at home.
I predict good attendance.
Andy. Mr.
This is probably fourth time. Anyway, selecting super. Let me say, let me say that this is the first time that I've ever had this kind of an outline, and I got to commend you guys for doing this because I know that the rest of the board hasn't been through as many times as I have, but nothing as thorough as this, and I have to compliment you on being thorough, understandable, letting us know what's going on, and involving the community, because that's fantastic. And this is the first time I've ever seen it in this district in 20 years.
Thank you.
So I'd like to compliment you on that.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Mr. Slice.
I have a procedural question, and I mentioned this to you in our one-on-one interviews. I've been approached by both teachers and classified people indicating that they wanted to give their input free of union oversight. How do you, if you're going to have the focus group is going to have 20 teachers and then the classified group is going to have 20 classifieds, how do you keep them from sending 20 site reps to be your 20 representatives? Because as a practical matter, that's what I'm afraid is going to happen.
And that's where I suggested that having the none of the above, kind of a meeting where at that point in time, you want to know what the interest of organized labor is, or are, depending upon how you look at that with the 2 unions that you do have. But the input received from a classified employee in an open none of the above category can be equally respected and received if there are other people in the room of a different alignment, whether it be a Rotary member or part of the ministerial association or whatever else. If people choose to come and give their input in that format, we're going to set the tone by saying this is a time where people get to express their opinion without judgment and without comment. And we're not here to debate who's right or who's wrong.
And we don't need your affiliation for you to speak up.
And unless somebody wants to say, and I've been a classified employee for the past 37 years in the school district, okay, I'm not going to stop you from saying that. But I think that in those none of the above more open affiliation meetings, we just need to make sure that we set the tone so that anyone who comes feels comfortable that they can express honestly what they believe are the strengths of the district, the challenges, and what they're looking for in a new superintendent. That help you?
It helps me. I'm dubious. I think your meeting with the 15 teachers you're gonna get the input of PFT, and I think the input with the 15 classifieds, you're gonna get the input of PSEA as opposed to the actual membership. But
hopefully,
None of the above.
hopefully,
if there's another way for them to contribute, then I think that's okay.
well, and hopefully, any group will respect the opinion of their fellow members enough to not try to come in and dominate or oversee the input process. I had my time. PFT had its time. This is what we believe. Classified union has its time. That's good. Now, in this situation, let's have it be an open communication on what you believe are the important things for you folks to consider in this very important selection process. None of us can guarantee that Mama Bear, Papa Bear is not going to stand in the corner and give them the evil eye. But hopefully they respect the process enough and respect their peers enough to allow that to occur.
And we'll facilitate.
You know, ideally, I think if you could go and visit each one of the 39 schools, and talk to each segment right there, it'd be perfect, but that's an ideal world. That's a dreamer.
It's a great dream.
Okay, with
You
the
sure
open
I'll get the
forum,
input.
with the open forum and our online survey, I hope that we'll get the input we need from anybody who doesn't feel adequately represented in whatever group we're talking about. So, the next thing you wanted to know who will be involved in the interview process.
So, yes, my understanding is the board.
That'll be just us.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then on to number 4. It looks like Amanda has been designated the district contact person, correct?
Well, now I've actually heard a little bit different, perhaps, that we want that to be Ms. Hueso, with a carbon copy to either Amanda or Tina, or both. I'm asking you guys at this point. Then, Mel.
I
thank you.
think Sandra and Tina and Amanda, they're kind of going to be the core group, and they'll keep me informed around all that stuff. So that
Right on,
triangle will work.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Okay, so
Okay.
Sandra.
Wessel.
Sandra Hueso, right here. Yeah.
Amanda Marshall.
And Tina McDowell. And between the 3 of them, the board will hear it 3 times probably, so we're good. We're covered.
Okay, great. And then the board contact person, is that you?
That'll be me.
Okay.
Comes with the job.
Sounds great.
We will work with this team to indicate any documents that are specifically privileged and confidential for the board, and that for the other folks that are involved, the burden of maintaining the confidentiality of any of those records rests with the people that have access. So, I know. It doesn't, it goes without saying. You guys all know that, but it has to be said.
So for number 5, who's the district contact person for the flyer? Is it
I think you've got the 3 names
those
again.
those 3 again?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Hueso,
So,
McDowell, and
do we have a point person so they're not, or are they just, is the point person is Sandra and then the others are,
yeah, the
helping
CC
with
on the
that.
others. Yes, please.
HMM.
Great. Approval of all advertisements.
Could you clarify what you mean by that? Because that sounds like something that the board wants in on, but I'm not sure. Is that a little less important at that point? Can we push that to our associate superintendents and acting superintendent? Or
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
I'm just wondering how has it worked before? Because an advertisement is going to be based on the brochure that the board has approved already.
Well, we have a couple of recommendations. We recommend advertising in the AASA job bulletin and website. There are a couple different, options for that. There's also Educational Week newspaper. That's kind of like the holy grail as far as advertisements. So, totally up to you.
Unless the board has an objection, I would like to give this to Dr. Robertson.
Okay,
Ms. Hueso.
we can do that. Okay. So we will be in contact with you in the next couple days as far as that's concerned. All right. Any specific board or state requirements that we need to know about?
I hope you know the state requirements because we don't.
We do. We do. And there's not. For example, in the state of Wisconsin, you have to have taught 3 years in order to become a superintendent there. So we know that there's nothing like that here. Along with that, we talked about having a doctorate. Do we want to keep that a doctorate is preferred in the wording?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. I just don't want you to limit yourself and say that the person has to have a doctorate.
I'm much more interested in their experience than whether or not they have a doctorate, personally. I don't know where the rest of the board is.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want that to be the litmus test.
Okay.
I have
And
a saying, it's not what you have, it's what you can do with it.
That's right.
Is this consensus? Do we have consensus here? Okay.
I prefer preferred.
Oh, you would prefer?
I prefer
Okay.
preferred.
Doctor
But that
preferred.
still keeps it open.
It still keeps it open.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, the consensus was not, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm
So-
trying to think about that. It preferred does mean we don't need it.
Right. That basically they can still feel like they can apply for the job, but yeah. When we talk to people and they ask us, are they just really looking for it? And we're going to tell them no. We don't have to have preferred. It's up to you.
Yeah, I said leave it off.
Yeah, I
So-
said leave it off too.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have consensus on leave it off?
And lastly, who's the contact the firm should send invoices to?
Dr. Robertson.
Dr. Roberts.
And that concludes the questions that you submitted to us.
That is correct.
With that, I'd like to open it up for anything anyone else has to ask. Otherwise, I think we've done very well here, and I'd love to adjourn. Mr. Sellers.
I just want to, we've got four cooks in this kitchen here between Tina, Amanda, Mel, and Sandra. And I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable delineating the duties so we don't have duplication. And because we've got 4 people now who are going to be in possession of this very sensitive information that we can't let get out because it will hinder our candidate pool. So I just want you guys to express some confidence to me that you can make sure that the all 4 legs don't fall apart.
Always better with a team. We will ensure that.
Okay,
Everything
thank
that
you.
you're asking for.
Thank
and
you.
communication with the board around everything.
Okay.
So is that, how does the candidate information, we don't get any of that until that night of, that's the first time we see it
That
that
is
evening.
correct.
So the district, nothing's flowing into the district as far as the candidates. And then the night you present, or am I wrong on that?
So, no,
because you're-
you get all that information that night.
That's the-
Nothing before. And so what will happen is, for example, if we have 12 candidates that we bring you that night, and you narrow it down to 6 candidates, what we're going to do is we're going to collect every piece of information of the 6 candidates that are not moving forward. We're going to take them with us, and we're going to shred them. Okay?
And there's no digital.
There's nothing. And say, for example, Michelle's packet of her 6 candidates that are moving forward. She's going to rubber band it together, and they're going to be kept by somebody in the district in a safe place under lock and key. And then if Michelle wants to come back and review some of that paperwork, she can do it in front of somebody. I don't know, whoever has it under lock and key, but she cannot take any of that information outside of the district
And it's
office.
all paper copies.
It's
no
all paper copies.
digital copy. So we designate that person at that given time, who the district person is to
Correct.
keep hold of that information.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just get my to-do list here is to make sure we've got October 26th or something within a day or 2 of that as our special board meeting. We need someone sending me your list of who other districts have met with, and I will send the board that list and the list that I've compiled in talking to staff and other people. And then we will make sure we've got that list to you very soon as well.
And sending back that contract.
Yes, I have that too. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? Okay, we're good here. Okay, item F is adjourning. So the next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held Tuesday, October 18th, right here, 6 p.m. Thank you. We're adjourned at, what time is it there? 7:36? Just to be contrary.